What if everything you've been taught about intelligence is a trap? You came to know that the dumber you are, the more intelligent you will be. If you're projecting yourself as an intelligent person in front of a people, then you're making yourself slower, clumsier, and ultimately very less effective. For centuries, we've worshipped at the altar of the know-it-all, the quickest wit, the sharpest tongue, the person with an instant answer for everything. We've been trained to believe that intelligence is about displaying what you know. But I'm here to propose a radical, almost heretical idea. The true path to profound intelligence, to genuine wisdom, isn't through acting smarter. It's through strategically and courageously acting dumber. Now, I'm not talking about playing the fool for entertainment. I'm not talking about dumbing yourself down to fit in. I'm talking about a deliberate, powerful psychological strategy. A form of intellectual jujitsu where surrendering the need to look smart is what actually makes you become smart. In the next 15 minutes, we will dismantle the ego of intelligence. We'll explore the 3 powerful ways that adopting a beginner's mind unlocks doors that a know-it-all mind has permanently locked shut. And I'll show you how this single shift can supercharge your learning, your relationships, and your decision-making. But first, we need to expose the single biggest obstacle to true intelligence. And it's not a lack of brain power. It's something much more insidious. Let's call the first trap: the intelligence ego. This is the part of you that has become addicted to being right. It's the voice that, in a meeting, is already formulating a response before the other person has finished speaking. It's the urge to say, "I know," when someone starts to explain something. It's the subtle fear of asking a stupid question because it might reveal a crack in your knowledgeable facade. The intelligence ego is a cognitive prison. Once you believe you already have the map, you stop looking at the territory. Your mind closes. You stop collecting new data because you're too busy defending the old data that forms your identity as a smart person. Think of your mind like a cup. If it is already full of your own certainty, there is no room for new, better, or more nuanced information to pour in. You become a closed system, recycling the same thoughts, the same solutions, the same biases, while the world changes around you. The know-it-all mind is terrified of being wrong, because being wrong feels like an identity-level failure. So it avoids challenges, it dismisses contradictory evidence, and it surrounds itself with echoes of its own opinions. This is the opposite of smart. This is intellectual rigidity. It's the path to obsolescence. But what's the alternative? It's to willingly and courageously adopt what Zen Buddhists call Shoshin, the beginner's mind. A mind that is empty, open, and ready for anything. A mind that, to the intelligence ego, looks dumb. And when you make this shift, the first thing that happens is that you unlock a superpower in how you connect with the most important people in your life. The first practical application of acting dumber is in your relationships. Let's call this relational intelligence. Think about the last time you were in a conflict or a deep conversation. Were you truly listening? Or were you, like most of us, performing what I call strategic waiting, pausing just enough to make it seem like you're listening, while internally rehearsing your brilliant counter-argument? That's your intelligence ego on full display, and people can feel it. It creates resistance, defensiveness, and distance. Now imagine a different approach. Imagine going into a conversation and consciously deciding to act dumber. What does that look like? It looks like asking the questions your ego thinks are too simple to ask. Can you help me understand that better? What did you mean when you said X? Tell me more about why that's important to you. These are not signs of weakness. They are tools of immense strength. When you ask a dumb question, you accomplish 3 things instantly. First, you disarm the other person's defensiveness. You're no longer a threat trying to outsmart them. You're a student, and you have made them the teacher. This is a profoundly respectful and validating position to put someone in. Second, you access deeper, more truthful information. When people aren't defending themselves from your intelligence, they open up. They share the real reasons, the underlying fears, the hidden motivations that you would never have access to otherwise. And third, you actually understand the situation. Instead of arguing against your own incomplete assumption of their position, you're now engaging with their actual position. Your responses, when they come, will be infinitely more effective and empathetic. Acting dumb in a conversation isn't about being ignorant. It's about being curious. And curiosity will always build a deeper connection than certainty ever could. But the benefits don't stop at relationships. This same principle is the secret engine behind the world's most rapid and effective learning. The second application is where this philosophy truly turbocharges your growth. The psychology of learning. Think about the last time you started learning a new skill, a language, an instrument, a software. What was the biggest obstacle? For most of us, it wasn't the complexity of the subject. It was the embarrassment of being bad at it, the frustration of looking clumsy, of making mistakes, of being a novice. Your intelligence ego, which is comfortable being an expert in other areas, screams in protest. It would rather you not try at all than try and be seen as a fool. This is why so many adults stop learning new things. Now, consider a child learning to walk. They don't have an intelligence ego. They fall down. They stumble. They look dumb. And they get right back up, giggling. They are embodying the beginner's mind. And because of that, they learn at an astonishing rate. When you decide to act dumb in a learning environment, you give yourself permission to be a beginner. You willingly embrace the stumbles. You celebrate the mistakes as data, not as failures. This dumb mindset allows you to ask foundational questions without shame, ensuring you build knowledge on a solid base. Practice deliberately and slowly, without the pressure to perform, which is where true skill is built. See feedback as a gift, not as a criticism of your inherent worth. The person who is willing to look like the worst student in the class often becomes the best, because they are the only one truly engaging with the material from the ground up. They are not pretending to understand. They are committed to the messy, dumb process of achieving understanding. The know-it-all stays on the first page, afraid to reveal they don't already know the last chapter. The fool devours the entire book, one clumsy, brilliant page at a time. And this all culminates in the most powerful benefit of all, one that will transform how you navigate an increasingly complex world. The final and most profound application is in strategic decision-making. We live in a world of staggering complexity. The problems we face in our careers, our communities, our personal lives are rarely simple. They are wicked problems with no clear cause and effect. No easy answers. The know-it-all mind is a catastrophic liability here. It rushes to a solution based on old models. It sees a new problem and forces it into a familiar box. This leads to elegant solutions, to the wrong problems. The strategic mind, however, the one willing to act dumb, approaches a complex problem with a completely different set of words. Instead of saying, "Here's the answer," it says, "I don't know. It depends. Let's explore." This is not indecision. This is intellectual humility, and it is the most powerful strategic stance you can take. When you admit, "I don't know," you liberate yourself and your team from the tyranny of the first, obvious idea. You open the floor to true inquiry. You start asking, what are we missing here? What would happen if our core assumption is wrong? How can we run a small, safe-to-fail experiment to test this? This dumb approach, rooted in curiosity and experimentation, is how modern innovators, from scientists to startup founders, navigate uncertainty. They don't pretend to have the blueprint. They build the plane while flying it, constantly learning, adapting, and course-correcting based on real-world feedback. The person who claims to have all the answers is the most dangerous person in the room. The person brave enough to admit they don't is the wisest. So, where does this leave us? Do we throw away our knowledge and expertise? Absolutely not. This is not an anti-intellectual argument. It is a pro-wisdom one. True intelligence is a dynamic balance, a dialectic. It's the fusion of two seemingly opposite states. On one side, you have your knowledge and expertise. This is the library of information you've built over a lifetime. It is your tool set. On the other side, you have the beginner's mind, the empty, open, dumb state of not knowing. This is your workshop, where the tools are actually used. The magic happens in the tension between the two. You bring your knowledge to the table, but you hold it lightly. You're confident enough to contribute, and humble enough to question everything, including yourself. Stop trying to be the smartest person in the room. Start striving to be the most curious, the most open, the most willing to learn. That is the secret. The dumber you are willing to act, the truly smarter you will become.